and good evening, everybody, and welcome along to your Friday night Rangers Rabble podcast. My name is Stuart, and I'm your host for this evening. Tonight is a phone-in, so I get a feeling that this might be a slightly more positive podcast than what we've had in recent weeks, let's just say. So feel free to join us tonight for the next hour and phone in, give us your views and thoughts. It's been a fairly quiet week in the world of Rangers, so I'm not sure we've got much to talk about. Kidding on, obviously, there's quite a lot to get through. I've got a list of things I'm certainly we won't get through all of it. Phone number is always 0141 628 7237. Keen to hear your guys' thoughts, put questions to the panel. And speaking of the panel, I have got, I think it's the first time I've been on with you guys, potentially. I can't remember, possibly. But my namesake, Stuart, how are we?
I'm very well. Very well. We'll go for Stuart or Stu. What do you prefer, Stuart?
Let's separate it. I'll go Stu, you go Stuart. I'll give you your proper
oldest. The oldest ones. And Kenny. As you said, it's been an eventful few, what is that now, 48 hours? And let's not forget, we've got a game to think about tomorrow.
Well, yeah, we might get to actually the game at some point, but we'll see what we can fit in with that. Kenny, how are you?
Stu, how are we doing, mate? We'll do a bit of the Brady Bunch. Stuart. Keep it like that, will we?
A bit like that. I mean, Connor was meant to be hosting tonight, but I've joined in, and he's probably been lucky because I don't know what he would have done if it was Stuart he was having to deal with. That probably could have. Might need to speak to the boss man about his organisation there. That probably shouldn't happen. But okay, chaps, let's get in and about it then. As Stuart mentioned, we've had 48 hours. I think we've got a caller waiting, but we'll just set the scene. 48 hours since breaking news broke that there were rumours that there was negotiations about a takeover, an American consortium linked to the San Francisco 49ers that were interested in buying Rangers. The pace of it has, I think, caught me by surprise. I think initially I thought, this is, maybe another story, but it has seemed to have absolutely gathered momentum over those 48 hours. We'll bring Chris in, who's patiently waiting to give us his views. I call her straight away. I thought we might get quite a few tonight. So, Chris, are you there? What's your views? What you want to talk about tonight?
Good evening, everybody. It's in regards to the takeover. What I'm going to say is, I think it's good. I think what the takeover is going to do for us is going to get us over our short to medium term cash flow problems. Because you don't need to be a brain surgeon to figure out that Rangers have cash flow problems. Also, what it's going to do is it's going to get fresh impetus, fresh ideas into that boardroom, which is much needed. Because I do get the impression the boardroom did run out of ideas. But also, I think what they may do is, I don't know if you might agree with, they may rename a couple of the stands. And I'm thinking the two stands that might be up for that would be the Broom Road and the Copland stand. I think they would be the two most time. I can't see them touching the Bill Struth stand or anything like that, but I think it's good. They've got a sports background. They're at Leeds United, so I think it's good from that aspect of it. And the sports people, that's a great thing. But I think fans got to be realistic here. They're not going to come in and do what Todd Bowley and Iqbal are doing, throwing money around like crazy. They're going to come in to run it like a business and run it at a profit. And I think it's good for the club to get run properly because it's been decades, and I'll go back to before Murray since we've been actually run properly. So it's all good, but also a point on Clement's pressers. See, if you watch Clement at the beginning when he first came into the club, his pressers were very assured, especially his first one, very assured, very good. See now, he's like Kevin Bacon at the end of Animal House. He's all over the shop.
Listen, I wasn't expecting Kevin Bacon to come up with the Rangers podcast tonight, actually, but there you go. So it's the rabble, of course, and something like that's going to. Stuart, on Chris's point, then I think the consensus appears to be that this news has been, it's quite a positive reaction.
positive. This, don't think I've slept since Wednesday. Kenny phoned me and broke the news to me. And then since then, yesterday I got next to nothing done at work. I got next to nothing done at work today. But massive, in my household anyway, excitement. This is massive. This is no the Easdales coming in and giving us a couple of pounds. This is massively individuals with investment. They've got money to burn. I think when the boy joined Leeds, Red Bulls gave them right away £60 million to go and play with, type thing. Interesting what Chris mentioned there about naming the stands and things like that. Let's put that to the side at the moment. Let's just concentrate on getting the first what I'm looking for, transfer window over the line first of all. Let's get what we've all been screaming for, a decent team on the ground. Get that first, then we can mess about naming stands and rebuilding things and getting Coldplay on at half time, all that silly thing. Get NFL dancers and everything, but let's get the team on the ground first. That's all we've been looking for, and they are, as far as we are, there's one more to be named who doesn't want to be named yet, and I'm sure behind him there's more that are sitting there going, I know I'm coming in, but don't say nothing yet. Until I don't think it'd be any problem whatsoever to get 51% of that club to be in complete control of it. But got a couple of good points here with Chris, just a part of renaming the two stands, leave that at the moment. Leave all that stuff at the moment.
I think it's interesting actually from what, and Kenny, I'll bring you in shortly, and Chris, feel free to jump in at any point. But I do think it's interesting actually, the stuff I've listened to. They do talk about stadiums, and about the home and trying to make that as successful as possible. They obviously completely revamped the 49ers. There is talk about an expansion at Ellen Road, but keeping that heritage, keeping what he kind of talked about in terms of teams don't particularly like to go to Ellen Road, and you want to keep that. So you'd imagine that would be part of what they might try and do with regards to Ibrox. But the New York Times, Kenny, they're reporting that this is pretty much done now, that it's clearly there'll be legal processes, etc., paperwork that needs to be done. In essence, the deals with whoever of our existing shareholders that are willing to sell have done, and it will get them to that 51%.
Yeah, mate. I think our press over here are more like catch a pigeon, and the Americans were always going to come into it first. They'd have been all over it as soon as they knew about anything, about a movement and that. So it was nice to see. Do you know what it was, boys? I think it was, and Chris, it was nice to see a bit of clarification for rumour mill, especially when you were getting STV starting to jump in it and all that kind of stuff. Because then, when there's 4, 5, 6, I think me and Gilly were talking about it, when there's 4, 5, 6 tabloids grabbing a hold of it, we can start to get excited then, because you had trepidation, you had fans thinking, I hope it's not going to let us down, and then the skull burning we get after it. But you've got to take the guy, Emirati, look at his background and what he's done. I mean, you don't have success and be a successful person being at something like the 49ers for 24 years and running it into a 7.3 or whatever it is $billion industry. So I'm excited at the fact that what he's going to bring, who he's bringing and what they're going to do. And I think we're only wanting to, I think both boys, you'll all agree, just stop the wheels for shaking. Get us to a level peg and get us somewhere that we can start buying decent players with a right good scouting network, that we can do the profile that we wanted to do, buying low, selling high and all this stuff, and looking forward to offering decent players decent money without killing ourselves and giving loans out and all that. And I'm absolutely over the moon that this is the type of thing that's coming with us. It's not like the investors, when I know they're going to start the Fenway Sport thing and the Glazers and all the rest of it. Listen, this is the Scottish League, all right? This is a totally it's no win, no fee. It's what it says in the tin. They're no need mega money to get us to a kind of successful area. I think it was very similar to Shakhtar Donetsk as well. So very excited, boys, very excited. Chris, I hope you're agreeing, because this could potentially be something we look back and tell our kids, oh, that's when it happened, that's when it changed.
Chris, I was going to bring you back in, because you touched on a couple of points in terms of running it like a business. And one of the things that I want to go on and bring the guys in as well is, do you think as a fan base, we need to understand and accept that these will be probably different owners than maybe what we've ever experienced before, in terms of probably not having that connection to Rangers? I grew up a fan, or my dad was a fan, and it's like, these are business people. Do you think us fans will need to accept that they're going to maybe do things that we might not agree with, but there'll be other things that we will absolutely get on board? Can you see that being the case?
Yeah, I can. I think there's got to be a trade-off here. I think the fans have got to understand this. They run like a business. They're going to take possibly money out of the club, but what capital are they bringing with them in terms of experience, in terms of putting the right people in place, in terms of maybe bringing new commercial deals, maybe putting a winning team on the pitch? So there's got to be that trade-off. If they're going to run it sensibly and run it to a business where the club is making a profit year on year, that's far better than the position we're in now. Because let's face it, the position we're in now isn't very great with the current thing. I think the people we've got at the minute, I think they've got best intentions at heart, but they've just not got the nuts and bolts needed to drive this club forward. What I was going to ask was, see if certain shareholders are left in situ. I think we know who the Rangers fan, a lot of the Rangers fan base want out, certain shareholders they want out. Do you think if they're left in situ, do you think that would sour the deal for the fans?
Sure.
I don't believe that anyone will be left in situ. This guy and his other backers, they'll come and take the whole board over. They don't want the deadwood, because we've been calling it deadwood, with no business development plans, sitting there with their ideas. They want to go, this is our money, this is now our club, from Mr. Park down to the individual, I think, who's got 10% or 8% shares. There's your money, disappear. My personal opinion. I think it's the only way it's going to work.
Chris, I really appreciate you taking the time to call in. Some really good points there. Please call back in again when we maybe start finding out a wee bit more about what the plans and stuff like that. But I really appreciate you giving us a call this evening. Kenny, on that then, we've seen that. Further adding on to that point, I just want to expand on, as a fan base, that this may be changing mindset that we've got to have about these potential owners, and them not having that close connection to the club. What's your thought on that? And knowing the Rangers fan base as they are, yes, there's excitement there at the moment. Could you see problems with that?
You would be silly not to think there might be some hiccups, especially over the last 10 years of how we've had our club ran, and we've always been a bit negative in thinking, because we've had our new owners, we've had new people coming in and they just stripped us bare. This is different. I think they've already proven successful in different businesses they've done. They've not stripped them back. They've actually almost embedded themselves in the history of the club and tried to find ways to connect with the fan bases. I think Rangers, we've always screamed that we need football people around the club that have been there before, just to show face or anything like that. And I do believe that will be the jobs underneath the owners and underneath the sporting directors and whoever they bring in, to make that connection and have the kind of. Remember, they used to have Cleland round the club all the time. They used to have John Gray kicking about the club. They used to, and all them get stripped away. It was as if they were trying to strip the identity off of us. I don't see any problem at the minute, no, because they've given us no reason to yet. And the back catalogue of businesses they've helped, they haven't got many, shall we say, bad press on anything they've ever done, especially if you just look over the border slightly and see Leeds. They seem to be almost, how would I put it, galvanising themselves with the fans and trying to put a connection. First of all, you've got to remember the kind of thesis of Americans as well. We all know it's always about family, it's about connection, it's always about thinking about things all the way through. So I'm hoping they bring that over to us. But you've always got a wee bit of trepidation, Stu, haven't you? You just because of what went through. But I think this time's completely different, like Gilly says. Well,
I think that's important, isn't it? That as a fan base, we given the situation we've found ourselves in recent years, you know, I think there has been, I think that the term that they've used is that, you know, the investors have almost become stale, and the club feels a bit stale, and so there is a genuine excitement about, you know, building to something new, but we do need to be mindful about our past and what happened. So Dave King has been out, Stuart, and maybe no surprise that Dave King seems to be taking a bit of the plaudits for this. That he's been right involved in the discussions, and I'm sure he would have been involved in the discussions as the largest shareholder. But he talks about his legacy, that he's got a confidence about passing the baton on to the correct people. That's vitally important, and it's going to be, when this happens, as it looks as if it is, we need to learn about what their plans are, don't we, so that we can properly scrutinise what their plans are for our football club.
I think as a football club, we definitely cannot, in the past 13 years, we definitely cannot do anything worse than what we've been doing. So fresh blood coming in, serious fresh blood with serious money, can only help us going forward. As for Mr. King, of course, he's going to come out and say he had a little bit to do with this, and no, potentially could have. But I think maybe I've not read it anyway. But my thinking is Andrew Johnston, who's based in America, may well have had a hell of a big thing in this. You know, and maybe David King is mentioning it because he tried to bring, was it the female Fox in? Was that her name?
That was just, yeah.
Ken? Yeah. And then, no, she sent an email out to other potential investors, and well, we know what happened there. Mr. Park wanted to take it to court for using a Rangers logo. Well, how else was he going to advertise who she was trying to sell without using a logo? But yeah, definitely we're in good hands. I think David King will sell all his shares because he's obviously confident that this bunch of Americans will do the right thing. He just has to look at Leeds and say, well, there's no mention about the Leeds. If he can bring that same kind of attitude and determination to us, it's a no-brainer for them. No, every season we're going to get into Europe when we start building and it's success. And I'm going to say not next season, but the following season, we win the league. We're in the Champions League. We go to the Champions League 2 years in a row. Celtic don't get Champions League money. They then start panicking. They then start getting rid of players because they're on too many wages, blah, blah, blah. And as someone always says, it's turned around into, they'll be a really good period. They've had a really good period because of our demise, and then it's back to us, hopefully. So yeah, that's a roundabout way to say King will hand over, and he's quite happy that it's the right people in charge.
I think from that last experience where, you know, that consortium led by Fox, I don't know, this just feels a whole lot more professional. There feels, you know, there's a better vibe about that, you know, and, you know, the fact that, you know, King is now very much out saying, I'm really, really confident I'm handing this over to the correct people. He wasn't, I don't remember him being so confident about the last lot that he tried to bring in, so that is interesting. Kenny, there's been a few comments on it, and I did want to touch on this. Any concerns about the kind of notion that could potentially go about that we suddenly become a feeder club for Leeds United?
Aye, of course. And as soon as I heard it fell out the other ear and then landed in the bin. Because at the end of the day, I've got a lot of respect for Leeds. They're a great club. They're massive, all the rest of it, but they ain't global. They ain't what we are. We are an absolute animal. And it was, I've said to Stuart for a long time on the phone, we've been a sleeping giant for a long time, guys. You know that. We've got the potential with the fan base abroad, with the fan base all over America, Europe, the supporters club worldwide and all the rest of it. We've got club branding everywhere. Everybody knows our name. But I know Leeds are a big club and I get it, but I'm not going to say it should be the other way around or anything like that. What I will say is that we are a massive, massive pool, a lot more than Leeds United. So I think that was a bit of disrespectfulness. I also know that, and we all know it was English press, it was pushing the agenda and that. A certain man in Talk Sport, which if you listen to a lot of that, then it's up to yourself. But at the end of the day, he was well wide of the mark. I mean, they know the size of us. It's going to be an enormous change for us. And I think, if anything at all, it was feeding them. It wouldn't be them feeding us. I can guarantee you now, because I mean, I think we're breaking records for British records for shirt sales under than Manchester City that time. So no, I've no worries about it, Stu. Honestly, I think we're a lot larger. We all must agree on that. We're a much bigger club than Leeds, than they'll ever be. I think just in global, like global supporters clubs, etc.
Couldn't agree more with you on that. I suppose the ones, it's not a nervousness, by the way. I think I'm trying to be pragmatic about this in terms of Leeds have the opportunity to play in the Premiership. We don't, and so that there clearly could be. And I think it was Ian Thompson put in our chat when we were talking about Simon Jordan and his comments.
Yeah.
And in my eye, I wouldn't say we become a feeder club. I do think we might have to accept that, if Leeds are back in the Premiership, Leeds could come and take any one of our players if they wanted, because that's the nature of football now, that, we are in a player trading model, etc. So, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a feeder club. I just look at the dynamics of where football are going and the leagues that they play in. Stuart, I was interested in this, and I know the three of us have, and I would certainly recommend to anybody to watching tonight on the Leeds United official YouTube channel, there is an interview from a year ago with Parag Marathi, and which I think all three we would absolutely agree. We were very impressed by how he came across in that half hour video. But he talks about his plans for Leeds, and how he's there quite a lot, but he wants to build a kind of really, really structured management team, so that actually he can use his expertise in certain areas, but actually wants to let them get on with the job. But I was thinking, Stuart, any concerns about spreading himself a bit too thin? I know the Leeds podcast asked this of him in terms of your involvement with the 49ers. There's now Leeds United, now Rangers. Any concerns about how they balance all that? Or can you see Parag Marathi being kind of almost sitting in the middle of it all, and it's more about that management structures that they then employ at these clubs, that they then have a confidence that the day-to-day running, etc., is going as they want?
Exactly that. I don't think even to answer your question there, Stu, because you've nailed it, absolutely nailed it. Professional, successful businessmen, that's what they do. They don't have to spread themselves about. They sit there.
Any concern that, if given the position that Leeds are in at the moment, sitting top of the Championship, any concern if that maintains and they become a Premiership club, that again focus goes on that?
No, not my watch. I don't think so, because he's got a baby, hasn't he, now? When he's took a new baby over in us, and I'm sure I like to part with it in his interview with Leeds, that he was saying for a year he sort of like he sat there and he looked and he watched and he grasped things of the difference between football and American sports, but sports he was saying, and I thought to myself then, I just wonder if that's what he's done with us. Because it's interesting, I think off the top of my head, on the AGM, that they said they're looking at new investment. When was that? November? December? So I think it was already behind the scenes. So potentially these guys have been behind the scenes, and they've been doing their homework, they've been looking at certain things, and then they've went, this is the right club to go to. And if I could just answer, if you don't mind, one of the guys, when I mentioned about the Champions League, and one of the guys on the comments mentioned about coefficient, I think if I'm right in saying that not this season, but next season, because individually Rangers' points tally, they will automatically qualify for the group stages.
Potentially, I think, yes, certainly Scotland's overall coefficient means, I think, from next season, that it would be a playoff place. Now, I think that's Scotland's coefficient. I think if you were to get through that, then I think Rangers' individual standing would then potentially help them in terms of the draw, but I could be wrong on that. But certainly we have dropped slightly, so I think qualifiers are definitely going to be coming back into the play. As of I don't think the automatic entry is going to be there for us for the Champions League. Kenny, I wanted to touch on, and folks, please, anybody else that wants to give us a call, please do so. Be great to hear from you, get your thoughts in terms of what we're discussing on the show so far. But from we slightly touched on what you think the priorities would be coming in. Now, New York Times is kind of talking that this looks as if this is going to be done in weeks. So, we might be talking end of March into April. So we'll have a bit of a run-in period of if that's the case, the end of the season and then going into the summer. They will have been doing their due diligence in the background, looking at finances, etc. I dare say they've probably been round the training centre, etc., etc. But where do you see their kind of priorities being in those maybe initial 6 months or so?
I think the background, boys, I think it's going to have to be what the board that we have currently has made a mess of, and the bridges that they've so-called burned. I think just everything behind the scenes first. On the playing park, obviously, of course, but we knew that was what the financial side it was for the transfer window. But I think, honestly, guys, behind the scenes, getting new investment in, sponsors, getting it sustainable financially, as I said, trying to make sure that the wheels are stopping to wiggle, and generating great foundations as we grow, rather than trying to go in 10 different directions. And I think I read a column that they were saying that there was at least 2 or 3 of the board of directors that were pulling in different directions of where they saw the club going. That couldn't have been healthy, and that was, let's be honest, that was running for years that they had the hold of that place. So yeah, for me, I think it'll be players and financial on the part, but it'll be more importantly to get behind the scenes and to steady the ship, so that we've got a great core, we've got a great foundation, with like sponsors and retainable income, and getting people into those positions that can go to these people who have got maybe good authority to talk in the same room as a throw out there a Nike or whatever, and hold the room, because these people have already dealt with them with 4 different American football conversations. Or do you understand what I mean? We've got people now that actually can sit in a room and nobody will dictate to them about what deal they're getting, because we can now say, well, here we go. So I think foundations, financial, and then let it spread out. That's just my thought on it.
We've got another caller, folks. I believe Scott is waiting in the wings. Scott, are you there? What's your point for the lads?
Aye. All right, guys, how you doing? What it was, I was saying there, I know, I wasn't about to let myself get too excited about it, you know what I mean, until it was almost, until it was signed and sealed, you know what I mean? But I've heard that it's more or less a done deal, you know what I'm talking about, but aye, man, I'll be over the moon, you know, because I don't know what, I was picturing that other mob with just choking for something to go wrong, you know what I mean? But I'm over the moon about that, so
I think we've touched on that, guys, haven't we, Stuart, in terms of that it's a jolt in the arm that I think as a club and as a fan base we've been needing. Yes, there's a kind of lot of unknowns and stuff like that, but as Scott said, just you're trying to rein it in a bit, because we've been a fan base that sadly we've been lacking this kind of enthusiasm and something to look forward to.
I love Scott's voice. He's absolutely buzzing, isn't he? He's buzzing. Brilliant. Love it.
I've even actually stopped going to Ibrox for a wee while, because I was taking the kids and that, and then you're going to games like Queen's Park and you're at home, know what I mean, and we're getting beat, man. So hopefully, man, it gets all the fans something to be excited about. And just on that wee one you were saying, hopefully get a good sponsor and everything, you know what I mean? Hopefully better days are coming, guys.
I tell you one thing, Scott, if you don't mind me saying, that if ever a fan base deserves what is happening or what is due to happen, it's us.
Definitely, guys. And by the way, I love your show, by the way, guys. Keep up the good work.
No, I appreciate that, Scott. Thanks very
Scott.
much for phoning in and give us a call back at any point, mate. Really appreciate your call tonight. Have a
Stu,
good
can I
one.
just say this just to make Scott even more excited about this thing? Right. So there's 25 million Scots live in America at this moment in time. 25 million of them. Liverpool games are shown in USA Network. I know it's Liverpool, right? But in 2023, 2024, with that network, Liverpool made just under 700 million euros.
Wow.
So that's a kind of thing we're talking. I'm not saying that's happening in June or July. No, I'm talking about maybe next season or the season after, when it's bedded in America that who Rangers are type thing.
Well, I wanted to touch on that actually, Stuart. So it's a nice wee kind of segue to it, because that interview that watched with Parag Manathi, he's asked about, are you, what's your plans for Leeds in terms of that global exposure that you're talking. And actually, his answer really surprised me when he was talking about the fact, well, yes, that might come into it. I'm not going to knock that back, but actually, I think there's more that they could do with regards to the local area in Leeds and also in the UK. They could do more. Now, I don't get the sense that I would be surprised if that's his answer regarding Rangers, because I'm not sure there's much more that you can do in the local area to promote Rangers and make Rangers bigger. So as part of their thinking here, and I can't make me Kenny that touched on it right at the start, but as part of the thinking here, well, this is a global institution, and actually there is more scope for a club like Rangers to probably, well, here they are into the American market. You've got Australia, you've got the Far East, etc. Am I running away with myself, or does that make more sense compared to the Leeds United angle? Kenny?
You're definitely not running away with yourself, because clearly you know that we have seminars all over the place, Stu, you know your stuff. Yeah. So they obviously know and see and done their, as you said correctly, their due diligence on us, mate. So they know that we've already got these little pockets firing up in Nevada, as you said, the Middle East and all these places where these huge seminars. So they know that the conversation doesn't really need to go to can we be outside of Yorkshire? Or Govan, you know what I mean? They already know we've got it sitting there, and if they can expand it, having almost the resources in America to expand it all out there, the other side of the water's the same. You know what I mean? We're lucky that we're two huge things in a little pond where, because of when we took off of Americans, we have loads of little fan bases all over America, but some huge seminars that thousands go to. So they know that they can take that little nut and look after it, oak tree stuff. So yeah, you're right, mate. I think they know they don't have to use that language because we've got it sitting waiting if they know how to run it. And obviously they do know how to run it because we've seen them do it.
Stuart, what does this mean for Lake Clermont? Do you think, I do want to make the point that the media in this country need to take a bit of a look at themselves. I thought his press conference today was embarrassing, actually, for the media. Quite clearly told, I'm sure they expected a question, but once you're told once, by the way, we're not going to answer any questions on that, to then just continue to ask questions about it, I thought, come on, lads, you've went through all that education to become a journalist, and that's all you've got. That's all you've got. But what does this mean for Philippe Clement? Do you think does it now make sense why he's still in situ?
I think it does. But will he be here when everything is the dust is settled, moving into next season, or will the new owners want to bring a top man in, a name that will attract the best of playing staff? And I said I'll go back to what I said at the first. I am more interested in success on the pitch, other than fancy stadiums and can I get a 2-foot sausage burger or whatever. So I'm in for all of that. but I think Clement will be there to the end of the season. You'll probably see next season also, and then after that, then it's entirely the board's decision on whether when he goes. I think even PC will know himself now with the guys coming in. His seasons are numbered.
Kenny, what's your thoughts on the manager? You know, the new owners, does an existing manager tend to stick around, or will they already be envisaging, want to bring in their own man?
I think a chance will be given. I think a chance will be given, and Stuart Gilroy, you've got a good point, mate. Do they say, right, hold on a wee minute here, there's what you've done with that, what do you do with this? And now we're in a position where if he makes a wee mess a couple of things, you've no excuse, no at all, about he didn't get what he needed and blah blah blah. Which I'm under the illusion, to be fair, that he got handed 12 million odd anyway, and 3-4 players and stuff. But anyway, I think he'll get given a chance, and the chopping board will not miss this time with these people. I don't think, if there's nothing that he does right. I don't think it'll be we'll just drag it on, we'll drag it here, we'll drag it there. But I think, to be fair with you, he'll get the benefit of the doubt. But I agree with the kind of two years way, the fact that they might be looking at the bigger picture, but probably short term he gets a chance.
Look, I of you with a super chat there. Thank you very much for that. And it talks about budgets for the summer, and surely discussions will have already taken place. Do we, Stuart, do you think it will have went into that sort of nitty gritty yet, or given the fact that things haven't even been signed at this point of view, that actually that will still be a bit up in the air, and Coppin will just continue as he has in terms of planning for what would have been a summer under the existing ownership?
Probably, I imagine so. No, business is normal in pre-season. As I mentioned, one of the guys mentioned there the potential of pre-season in the USA this season, just to introduce the club to those who don't know in America. I know that's a bit silly because we're massive, aren't we? We're worldwide. But if you're sitting in your house in Texas and you're into baseball and basketball and NFL, Liverpool, Man United, etc., I think it'd be a great idea, great publicity stunt to take Rangers to America pre-season to introduce them to the now new American family, hopefully. But apart from that, no, your boy Cotton will probably go about his business as normal, look for players to come in. Be interesting to see whether he's got told a budget. And the budget that he got told, is the budget from the current board, or is he being told you've got X amount to spend from the new guys coming in? Interested to find that out. I know all the financial fair play and stuff like that. I'm not again, we're not going to buy a £30 million player, of course we're not. But no, it's going to be more than can I borrow somebody from Bradford City, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we do need to understand that we're not going to be, here's £100 million. You know, that things like that are not going to happen, but there will be greater cash flow, you would hope. And, you know, I think I'm generally excited to see, yes, absolutely, there will be priorities, but I'm generally excited about what they think about Ibrox and what they do around that area. You know, even just freaking cleaning it up a bit, you know, might be a start, and, you know, move pavements and stuff like that would be a starting point. So I think there is a lot of excitement. We'll move on. I think we've spent 40 minutes talking about this, and that it's going to rumble on, and as we approach into the summer and stuff like that. One thing I would say, I'm not changing my NFL team. I don't think that's on the cards. I dare say there might be some, but I'm not doing it. I'm going to put that out there. But one of the other things I thought was really interesting in that interview was the fact that they went after the 49ers, who were clearly a huge institution, but had maybe fallen in some hard times. They looked at Leeds and thought, that's a big, big club who had lots of success years gone by, but have come into a bit of hard times. Again, it looks very much as if, you know, they've seen what Rangers, the possibilities are. So I think it is interesting. Let's say I would definitely recommend people to go and have a listen to that interview, because I thought he came across. He was very impressive in it, and let's see what happens over the next weeks. Let's say the pace that this has been moving at has been really interesting. Kenny, the other news from today, and again it really slips in, that Rangers have been drawn in the last 16 of the Europa League, and it kind of gets pushed down the pecking order, which it seems a bit strange. But we're been drawn against Fenerbahce away on the 6th of March, home leg on the 13th. Probably the harder of the potential 2 ties that we could have got. I know maybe going to the Arctic Circle in early March might not have been on a plastic pitch, might not have been great fun. Wilf would have still been in his shorts and stuff like that. But not an easy tie, but an exciting one.
Yeah, I mean, they're no diddies, are they? Many times they won that league, about 24 or something. They're always in Europe, whether it's Europa, Champions League, they're always about. They're one of the most successful clubs in their own country. But they've got a manager who has been known to dabble a bit of magic about the place wherever he lands. He's got a good few players, I think, that we've already seen in like the kind of Premier League, isn't he? Your Czech Tossin and what's the other boy? Is it Nerezi or whatever his name is, the striker. Diego Carlos, I mean, there's a player that everybody's trying to chase anyway. So he's got some stars kicking about him, and he's got a bit of a sprinkle. But we always said that people come to Ibrox, bring their fans, and completely let it fall apart because of the racket, the noise, the atmosphere. Fenerbahce fans are used to making that noise, making that racket, and the players are used to the atmosphere. So it'd be nice to see how we balance with that. It's a tricky tie. It's a winnable tie. You can't say nothing about Rangers in Europe. I ain't going to say that that's a team that's going to beat us, because there's absolutely no chance after the history we've had the last 4, 5, 6 seasons. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, mate. I just wish, maybe, don't take this personally, but I just wish I wasn't married so I could go to Turkey for the second leg.
You might need to put your camera off shortly. Stuart, it's clearly the Mourinho factor is going to be thing. It's his personality, etc., is going to absolutely add to this tie. He's maybe not at the peak of his powers anymore, but this is a man that knows how to win, and has done it on a regular basis. Fenerbahce sitting second in the Turkish league at the moment. They are 6 points behind Galatasaray. Played the same amount of games, but it's what he brings to it just adds that extra bit of spice, doesn't it, Stuart?
Yeah, but my very, 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 very good friend who's sitting underneath you there, I need to remind him, the second leg is at Ibrox.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
I know you did, but there's too many folk this morning were saying Turkey the second, the first.
I was reading too much in the Discord, and I've kind of got that back to the front. Yeah.
But to go back to Stu's point, second place, played 25 points, 57 goal difference of 37. But it means then they've dropped 18 points in the Turkish league, which you take away Fenerbahce and Galatasaray. Well, who have they dropped least points to? That's like us dropping points to Kelly and Ross County and Motherwell. So, let's not get too mental that this is a sensational football team. They've dropped their levels during previous seasons. Interesting that they play Galatasaray on Monday night.
Undefeated in the last 5, but they're undefeated in the last 5, and
they score for fun. Yeah, yeah. But so is Hearts unbeaten.
When you think of a Mourinho team, that's not normally what you would associate with. Again, I'm not sure. I understand what the manager was maybe just trying to say. He was laid back, but I'm slightly surprised that he went all in on, he's a great manager, but he doesn't play my style of football. Sort of thought.
Me too. Yep.
I thought rein that in maybe a bit, Mr. Clement. You might
ask him for it.
In the hornet's nest ever so slightly.
I thought so. I thought he's asking a wee bit for that, Mayor Stu. I thought. Do you know sometimes when you get a player that comes out before like an Old Firm derby or that and says something completely daft, and you're going, don't say that. And when he said it, he went, "Oh, listen, it's not really the kind of football that I would look and watch. But he's obviously very good at winning a lot of trophies. And I thought to myself, I get what you're saying. It might, and by the way, it might just be that he knows that Mourinho will be listening and watching and get under his skin and trying to play the game with him. But that's a wily old fox, that boy. So I would rather you just kind of stuck to the plan, kept quiet, and then done the talking when we got there. I would have thought.
I would just say, sorry, Stu. I would just say, on that one, Kenny, you know what we're like. Go to Turkey, come back to Ibrox, only needing, whether it's 3-2 or 2-1, but keep it close. So we're giving ourselves an opportunity.
Yeah, definitely.
At home.
100%.
Well, the work to get into the top 8 was to give you that home advantage in the second leg. So whatever happened, what you've got to do in the first leg is keep the tie alive. Whatever that way. And I mean, I don't know what you think, Stuart. I've said it many times in this podcast, I do feel as if this Rangers team is a different animal when it comes to the European game. I think it suits us better. I actually think the fact that teams might have a bit more of the ball does allow us to kind of play and stuff like that. So tough, but I don't think we should fear it.
Is that to me?
Yeah, Stuart.
Sorry, buddy. I was reading the comments and I drifted away what you were saying. Absolutely fear nothing. The only time we've let ourselves down was the spanking we got from Leon at Ibrox. But other than that, go back the years that Thursday nights are always good for us, isn't it? Under the lights, we always seem to spark it open, and I think that is because we've always gave ourselves an opportunity at Ibrox to win the game, win the tie, and if we can do that come March the 13th back at Ibrox, then it will be. I know Kenny said that the fan base in Turkey, all Turkey clubs are just mental. Mental. Remember the days when I think Chelsea went and they brought at the airport talking about rotten hell and all that carry on. Can you imagine that at Glasgow airport? Why do we not do it? The Monday, the 12th or something like that, meet them at the airport. But yeah, I don't think they'll be phased with the noise that can come out of Ibrox that night. They're used to it. Yeah. So it's up to the players this time to do it.
I agree. I don't maybe but what it does to us as a football team, I think it's more important what Ibrox can generate. Jack, thank you very much for your super chat there. Hopefully Josie loves it that much that he wants the job in the summer. I've seen quite a few people saying that. I've seen some videos. The Rangers board the new board trying to kidnap him and stuff like that. Not sure about Mourinho for that, but what I would say is I think he was very complimentary. I think he was asked last night about the potential of 2 ties. I think he said obviously Olympiacos would be a nice short flight, but if they had to come to Scotland, then they play in a great stadium, is what he said. So I know he was here previously with Chelsea, so he will have some experience of it. But I think, yes, they will have experience of hostile atmospheres, but I think Ibrox can be a pretty special place on these nights, and it's what it does to our players that I think's really important. Kenny, I've seen some of the media. They've already they're talking about Jose's path to the final in terms of ex clubs that he's managed and what he might do. Yeah, probably very disrespectful. But if we looked at ourselves, if we were to get through, big task. But if we were to get to the quarters, then it's either Roma or Athletic Bilbao, who have added incentive of the finals in Bilbao this year, and then even in the semi-final, you're potentially coming back up against a Lyon or a Manchester United again. I mean, that's obviously a long way away, much to do. If Rangers were to get to this final, my God, they will have, given what we had to go through in the groups and this draw, nobody could begrudge us if we managed to get that, because there's no easy tie looking through that.
You're right, but I think we all sat here and we didn't expect to get the finals the last twice we did through the way we did either. I don't think we were expecting to go away like Boavistas and all that and do a damage on them and things like that. We've upset the apple cart I don't know how many times in Europe. I think we've shocked ourselves senseless. So we love to just sit back and wait to the game, don't we? And then just surprise the hell out of whoever it is we're playing. I also know, I think they played, I don't know if it was a cup game, it was Riderspor they played in the 2nd of February, right? And it was a 3-2 game, and the fans were going right on Fenerbahce's back. So, yes, you might have volatile fans, but so do Celtic. But if you can silence any of the type of fans quickly and smother, they will turn, and it makes the tie easier for us, especially if they're at home and they can't get anything over, as Stuart Gilroy's saying there. If we can manage to keep in, well, the two you said actually, if we can manage to keep in the game over there, then they fans do become more hostile towards our own team, and they are very, very notorious for doing that, as you know, about their stampeding outside the ground and trying to get into players when they used to get beaten in the derbies. So I don't fear it, because we've been here, we've done it, we've wore a t-shirt, we've got to finals, and I'm not talking about historical finals here, as you know. It's in the last 10, 15 years, we've done really well since Steven Gerrard and all that kind of carry on. We've been brilliant in Europe constantly, consistently. So I'm like you, Stu. I'm more thriving on it than I'm going. Pfft. But the press are always doing that. They're always like, "Oh, look at all this. Mourinho can get his, his teams that he's managed and all the rest of it. Good. Keep doing that, because we'll just quietly go about our business as usual and see where we come out over the 90 minutes over the 2 legs."
Yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely buzzing for it. If we can get the game back to Ibrox with it in the balance, then I think the atmosphere that night could be absolutely electric. Folks, just under 10 minutes left. Anybody wants to give us a call, feel free to do so. 0141 628 7237. Love to hear from you. But sure, talking about atmosphere, there is a game of football we've got tomorrow. An atmosphere that I wasn't expecting much. I think there's probably the attendance will probably be down. Let's let that, given the fact where we are in the league and stuff like that. But has the news over the last 48 hours, will that change things ever so slightly?
I think tomorrow you will see an old Ibrox. It will be buzzing tomorrow. And what I will say about that, so the fans have done their part about the big tifo, make Rangers great again, and things like that. I just hope this is the opportunity now for the players to perform. They know the board's away. We're going to get new bosses in, so this is their opportunity now to tell the new bosses, who I'm sure they'll be watching, saying, "I'm good enough to stay here." Because like the days of earlier, I don't think these guys will be short and saying, "How much you on, mate? There's your contract. It's in a bin. Away you go." Because I'm not paying you £28,000 to sit about and lie in that treatment table for months upon months upon months. So I think, fans will be up for it. Hopefully the players will be up for it. And for the first time in a long, long time, I'm going 4-0 tomorrow.
I was going to ask you your predictions.
We are up for this tomorrow. We are gubbing this tomorrow. And unfortunately for St Mirren, it's them that's getting it.
Kenny, I'm interested on that. I'd like to say Stuart's clearly confident, stuff like that. I think there's going to be an improved atmosphere with regards to the support. Given what we've seen though from the team over recent weeks, yes, there's been wins. Queen's Park being obviously massive exception for that, but in the league there has been wins. But in terms of level of performance, I don't think we've been quite seeing what we want to see. Does the news of the last 48 hours, does that galvanise not just the support but also the players?
It'll help us out when you see Robinson getting in the Rang dugout and celebrating about us with an American hat on. That'll probably go down well. But in seriousness, you need to be very, very careful. I'm sure Clement will be smart enough to say, right, listen, we're all buzzing. Let's put the buzzing apart, but let's get the ball in it early and let's remember what we're doing. It's very, very easy to put a dampener on things straight away if we get beat or draw. I just think, to be fair with you, I honestly think that they'll do a professional job, they'll go out and we will win. I actually, as long as we keep getting the 3 points, we all know what needs to be done in the transfer window. And as Stuart says there rightly, I think we're all feeling that if they can't not perform now, when you've took the pressures of all the club and what's happening in the board and players getting shouted out the window now, and have a bit of good news and go out and play some expansive, relaxed atmosphere football and win a game of football, then some of the players don't deserve to be in our team. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to go 3-0. I don't think St Mirren will get a goal. I'm hoping they don't, obviously with the news of Stuart and stuff like that again, which is a bloody nightmare. I mean, come on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just for folk that aren't aware, at the press conference today, Clement did confirm that John Suter is out for tomorrow. Yeah. Not a major injury, but he did pick up an injury during the Hearts game. That's why he came off against Hearts, as it wasn't just managing minutes. He does have a niggle. It's not a big thing, but you're right, Kenny, in it. It's stop-start again for Suter. You know, he's had that layoff. You think he's back, and here's another niggle.
Aye, and I think somebody that he came out again, didn't he? And he says that this person's better than Danilo and all that, right? But you know, and I'm dying to get excited about somebody saying Danilo's back, but I just can't do it, man. It's really difficult because it's always an injury, and you see the flashes of this wee genius, and then he trips out a bun in the canteen or something, he's fractured his sense of humour. There's always something. So I'm a wee bit fed up with this, you know. I think, remember, Stu, when you asked me earlier on about where do you see the financial bigwigs going first? Scouting, deal with that. Medics.
Yeah.
I think that's the two areas that they need to really have a look at. Well, Patrick Stewart, wasn't it? But yeah, mate, we all know that we're starting to get fed up with this. Either players coming back, you're right, Clement, but how long are we having them for? And I think that's what wins as leagues, guys. That we can keep the squad fit, and it's a big, strong squad, and it can last. I mean, I think we were talking about Skilly, weren't we, about Davy Weir no missing a game at like 110-year-old, and you've got these young fit guys that are just tripping more things, and you know, so it's frustrating that way. But I do think we'll get the job done tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll win tomorrow as well. I'm kind of. I think I'll go 2-0. I'm just not. I hope it's a nice, relaxing afternoon. It'd be lovely to go to Ibrox and, you know, and be 2-3-0 up after half an hour, and, you know, we can just enjoy it. Still, you know, you've got that nervousness about the team at the moment in terms of if they don't get that early goal and then the second, you know, then sometimes it slows down and it becomes nervy. But folks, I think we'll call it quits tonight. I just want to say massive thank you to Chris and to Scott for calling in. Really enjoyed the points that they made. To Stephen and to Brew, who have became new YouTube members, really appreciate the support. Hope you've enjoyed the content. There is plenty of it for you to get involved in. Friday nights we do phone-ins, etc. So please, if you wish to give us a call next week, then do so. To everybody in the chat, really enjoyed the comments that have been coming in. Stuart, great being on with you. Appreciate your time this evening.
And you, mate, I'm going to send you a wee message about Preston. I heard you mentioning Preston, so I'm going to send you a wee message if that's okay. Work related, no me, Kenny. I can't miss a bitch in it, no. But it was great tonight. Really enjoyed it tonight.
That's you, Stu. That's you now. You're not get left alone.
All right, okay, no worries. And Kenny, hopefully you survive turning this camera off, and the missus doesn't do you in too much. But I appreciate your company this evening.
The noise you can hear is the knife getting angle grind.
I can imagine.
Thanks again, mate. I appreciate it. All right, pal.
And I know his missus.
Folks, the guys will be back tomorrow after the game with the reaction to hopefully what is a Rangers victory, and of course we will be back next week as I'm sure the story develops about all things takeover and stuff like that. But yes, enjoy your weekend, and I hope your teams wins.